Pastor Brian from Summit Church here. There are two rooms in our building that we won't be able to use for the next couple of years. And this is actually a good thing. What happened with these rooms is the topic for this week's edition of Wednesday's Words with Pastor Brian. The reason we can't use two of the rooms in our building is that we gave them to Love Inc. for one of their Gap ministries. Love Inc. is a ministry in the Treasure Valley that coordinates the efforts of about 50 churches to help meet needs in our community. Summit has been a partner church of Love Inc. since it first began years ago. And one way that Love Inc. meets needs is through something they call Gap ministries. These are intended to fill in the gaps for people whose income each month is less than the amount required to meet their needs. Each Gap ministry has a specific focus. So, for example, one of them is called the Diaper Depot. And as you know, diapers are super expensive, and the Diaper Depot provides free diapers to families with little kids as a way of help filling in those gaps for them. Beginning this month, Summit Church now hosts the Adult Clothing Ministry. And as the name implies, this Gap ministry provides adult clothing free of charge to clients of Love Inc. And because you have images of a bunch of bad used clothing in your head right now, let me dispel that thought. This ministry strives to make things really nice for the clients. After all, Love Inc. stands for Love in the Name of Christ. Here's some photos I took just last week as they got things moved in. So when you go downstairs and see locks on the doors to the Juniper room and the Tamarack room, this is the reason why. They now completely occupy those rooms, and we've made a 2-year commitment to them. Now, let me briefly explain why we decided to do this. First, they had a need, and we had space that's not being used. One of our goals for the coming year is to see growth in our children's ministry and families ministry. I asked Ryan specifically if losing these two rooms would hinder that goal in any way. And Ryan said he could divide the children's classes a couple of times more and still not need those rooms. So we've got a way that we can fill in something that Love Inc. needs. Now, second, all of the Gap ministries are run by volunteers from the partner churches. Well, this one's run by Mike and Leslie Schaefer from Summit Church. Some of the other volunteers at the Adult Clothing Closet are from Summit Church as well. So when this Gap ministry needed a new home, it just made sense to house it here. The location downstairs is ideal for them because the clients can just use the back door entrance, which is right next to the Tamarack room, when they come. Lastly, this also provides an easy way for others at Summit to volunteer. You know, you've always been able to volunteer with Love Inc., but having it here in our building raises the visibility of both Love Inc. and the Adult Clothing Ministry. You can contact Mike and Leslie Schaefer if you're interested in serving in this Love Inc. Gap ministry. You know, giving ourselves away to meet the needs of others is one of our core values here at Summit Church. Housing this Gap ministry in our building makes it easier for us to continue living that out. I'm excited to see how God will use this, not only to meet needs of adults in our community, but also how He'll use it in our lives to make us more like Him.